Welcome to my channel, Sunshine Shoulders. I'm Calvin. Thank y'all so much for stopping by today. The midlife crisis. Is it a myth or a mother? Let's talk about that. Because nobody else is going to talk about it. And when I went through it, I had no help. Nobody's shoulder to cry on. Because as a black man growing up in America, we can't show any signs of vulnerability. We have to project this facade of strength. Like, I got it going on. I don't have any problems. I'm handling my business. Anything else is a sign of weakness. So when I was making the decisions, the rash decisions that I was making, because I was crazy, I was out of my mind, no one even tried to understand. All they thought was, he's just a low-down, ornery MF who's deserted his family and everybody who loved him and needed him the most. So what is a midlife crisis? Is it even real? I put the link in the description from healthline.com because there's a lot out there on the midlife crisis. But this one kind of gives the history of Elliot Jacques, who was the psychoanalyst who actually coined the term. And, he gives some history and, what he thought it was and everything like that. In a nutshell, it's just when someone struggles with their transition in life, their life's purpose, their identity, their self-confidence or their self-doubt. And just for the sake of this vlog, I'm just going to talk about a few things. Decline in happiness and life satisfaction, number one. Less motivation or interest in pursuing goals and activities that you used to enjoy. Because all these things, these 5 or 6 things I'm going to talk about, or that I'm going to mention right now, when I tell my story, you're going to see them real clear. Dissatisfaction with your relationships, your career, with life in general. Concern with your appearance and how people perceive you. See, these are just some things I want to put out there. Mood changes. Because it's all going to fit right into my story like a neat little box. But somewhere around 2008, mid-2008, probably all the way until I came to the Philippines in 2015, I dealt with that, with what I consider the midlife crisis. Midlife being somewhere between 40 and 60. I started coming to the Philippines when I was 45. Now remember, guys, all this is hindsight. Hindsight is 2020. When you're going through something like this, you're in an emotional blackout. Okay, you don't know you're doing any of this stuff. All these old crazy messed up decisions you're making, all these rash decisions, you can't see it, but everybody else can. So that's why, you see a lot of the stereotypes of people going through it. The fancy cars, the affairs, the brand new families. You're going to see stuff like that, but we don't see it. But, they say there's always something that triggers it. A stressor out there, a life stressor. Death, divorce, separation, you may lose a job, a promotion or something. In my case, it was deaths with an S. In June of 2008, I had a nephew murdered. July 2008, my brother-in-law died of AIDS. September 2008, my first cousin either committed suicide or he fell off the overpass on the highway and was run over. And then February 1st, 2 of my nephews died in a fire. February 1st, 2009. Okay, one was 9, one was 4. Then February 15th, my 36-year-old nephew, he died of a heart attack. He used to live with us. I lost 6 close family members in an 8-month period. So that was the trigger for me. And I was in a downward spiral, man, with depression. Because that's part of it, sadness. because you're on an emotional roller coaster. But that triggered it. And you start examining your life. And if you're not happy with what you find, you start changing stuff. And this is what you see with people. And I wasn't happy. You know, you start questioning everything. All your values, all your beliefs, everything, man. And you start making those changes. Well, boy, did I make some changes, man. You know, it's crazy because at the time that I entered into this crisis, I was probably living as well as I could possibly live. I was about 45 years old. I had an FMO contract. An FMO contract. If you're in the insurance business or you know anything about it, that's as high as you can go. I literally had $1 million business, but I walked away from it. Because remember, he said you lose motivation or less motivation or interest in pursuing goals and activities that you used to enjoy. I turned over day-to-day operations to people I never should have turned over operations to because I just wasn't interested anymore. At one point, when I was in the midst of all this, because remember, hindsight 2020, in a span of about 11 months, because I looked it up, I made 8 round trips to the Philippines. And then the following year, out of the 12 months, 9 months was spent over here. Now remember, I've got a business going over there. I got 20 agents working underneath me. And I've got a family. But I couldn't see it. Because I woke up one day and I was like, everything's closing in on me. All these people were dying. And I don't know, man. Like I said, it just sent me spiraling down. Just it was just hell for me, guys. And I just kind of get kind of emotional when I talk about this because I really screwed up my life and I did not know it. I had nobody to talk to. I had nobody to stop me in my tracks and say, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" I wasn't on drugs or anything. I had stopped at that point 10 years. I hadn't used anything. But I lost interest, man. I walked away from that. And walked away from my family. I gave away my home. I gave it to my wife, soon to be ex-wife, knowing she couldn't afford it. All those years of work and sacrifice to rebuild my credit, to come up with the money and everything to qualify for the home loan, I just walked away from it. People thought I was crazy because I was. It's all psychological. See, but to the outside world, I was just a low-down ornery MF, who deserted his family and everybody who loved and needed him the most. Because people don't, they don't understand, man. I changed my whole wardrobe. Because remember, you're concerned about your appearance and how people perceive you. I stayed in the gym. Very rarely would I stay at home. The fancy cars, I had it. I went out and got a brand new convertible right off the truck. We were actually going to the car lot to get my wife a new car. But when the truck park was pulling in, we actually test drove the damn Toyota. She had a Toyota, what's the Camry, with the, with the spoiler kit and everything. It was nice. We were getting ready to sign up the papers and everything. But then here comes the truck pulling in. I see the convertible. I want it. But see, remember, I didn't know I'm going through this, guys. I just started. It had just started for me. And the affairs. See, all of a sudden, my wife wasn't young enough. Even though she was only 38 at the time, I just had this desire for younger women. And it wasn't the Philippines. I went to Mexico first. And then once you get a taste of that, there's no going back. You know, my poor wife, man, you know, she hated me because she had no idea what I was going through. You know, we're better now, but at that time, you know, my best friend became my worst enemy because she had no idea. She just thought that I didn't love her anymore. I didn't love the kids or anything. She knew nothing about the midlife crisis or existential crisis or the life stressors. You know, she don't know anything about that. She's from the hood like I'm from the hood. But she didn't know it, man. And a lot of I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of family because they just thought I was angry. They had no idea what I was going through. That's why I want to talk about it today, because I know somebody else out there is going through it. As a matter of fact, I see people coming over here. They remind me of myself. They're going back and forth to the Philippines. You know, they're giving up their jobs. I gave up my business, man. I mean, I could still have that business today. I'm talking about I was an FMO. You can't go any higher than that. And when they moved out of the state of Kentucky, I could have just moved along with them and took my contract. I had no interest. The higher ups, the people who gave me the contract, they didn't even offer it to me because they knew, they saw my performance. I had lost interest. But things just got worse after that, really. When my divorce was found, I didn't even know it. I didn't even know it for about a year later when I had to go get my son's CRBA. But, you know, I was just questioning everything, man. You know, my life wasn't where I thought it was supposed to be. Is this all there was? You know, I had everything. I had a 3,700 square foot home, a 1,500 square foot walkout basement that I had just spent $25,000 finishing, man. I had 2 decks on the back, brand new van for my wife. You know, everything was going good. And then something snapped, man. It snapped. You know, I was in, you know, just fixated with death. You know, it's just at any time I was going to die. And it's a serious matter, man, you know. But in my community, in the black community, we don't talk about this stuff. There was not one person that I could talk to when I was going through there, because there's nobody in my family and only one of my friends, and this was long after I went through what I went through, who would ever even admit that he went through the same thing. I'm talking about I've got 7 brothers, man. They never talk about stuff like that. How many of my friends I have? We don't talk about that. It's always, we got to project this image, man, this facade of strength. You cannot show any weakness, no vulnerability or anything in the black community. When, in a matter of fact, we as black men, we're not running anything. We're not even in control of our own lives. But if you watch social media, any black man in any leadership position, he's never going to show you any vulnerability. When we all know that everybody struggles with something. So I'm living this life my whole life. So when I'm struggling, almost to the brink of death, really, there was nobody for me to turn to. There was nobody for me to talk to, man. You know. So I had to struggle in silence, man. I was really walking. I don't know if anybody's ever been drunk before and you've been in a blackout, where you're still moving around. Everybody can see you. You're still moving around. You're still talking to people. Okay, but you don't really understand what you're doing. You don't, the next day when you wake up, you don't remember anything. And that's how it was for me. I lost 2 years of my life, I promise you. I don't remember. 2009 and 2010 are really hazy for me. I don't remember all the way. So I just want to talk about this today, and maybe it'll raise some red flags of what somebody may be going through, because women go through it too. Not just men, but because my vlog is my audience rather is dominated by men, you know, I wanted to talk about it. So if you experiencing anything like that, or you think you're going through something like that, put it in the comments, man. We can talk about it. We can share about it. It's nothing to be ashamed about. Better get help now before you lose everything, because I mean, I started over at 55, really. Think about that. See, I could have held on to that house. I was making very good money. You know, I let all that walk away. And then I had the nerve to get angry when my wife moved a man into the house. Well, I gave it away. I walked away from all of that. When I look back on it now, I see that I was in big trouble, man. I was going through some stuff, guys. You know. So thank y'all. I'm not babbling, guys. This is a real life situation. It's not a myth. The experts today, they don't call it a midlife crisis. They just say, you're struggling with the day-to-day stresses of life. That's what you're doing. But something happens, you snap. They say between 40 and 60. You start examining your life. You know that you got more years behind you than in front of you. The end of life is approaching. And everybody handles that differently. Some people, man, we start changing stuff. We start, the self-doubt kicks in. And you start looking at your friends and stuff. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I don't have the car I'm supposed to have. It's all true, man. I've seen it growing up, but I just didn't know what it was. So if you're in America, it's early. You're about to get up, get a newspaper, go to work, go to the gym, get a cup of coffee. If you see somebody out there in the street or wherever you see them, if you can help them without putting yourself in jeopardy, help them. If you're in the Philippines, it's about 5, but I'm not going to upload this until about 6, when it'll be midnight here. I hope you were able to help somebody today. It's not a day goes by that I don't help somebody, man. I promise you that. I want to give a shout out to Devin Harris. Okay, if you didn't know, somewhere around in September, I made a promise that on my Sunshine Shoulders page that, we do the spinware every week, and we have different promotions and different things like that. So I said December the 22nd, I'm going to give away 5,000 pesos to one of my lucky Filipino subscribers for Christmas. Well, he saw that on my Sunshine Shoulders Facebook page. He said, Calvin, I'm going to match you for that. Okay, and I want to shout him out for that. And then I put it on my community page because I set a goal. I want to do it for 10 people, but I need y'all's help. I can't do it by myself, man. I've done as much by myself as I possibly could over here. Because if I don't know anything else, I know this one thing for sure. When we help other people, we help ourselves. Take care, stay safe, stay out of trouble. I'll see y'all November 25th in Angeles City at T-Back for our meet and greet. Take care.